Let's move. Well, it's in the same building, but I guess across to the other locker room with the Jets, who were active again at the start in free agency. Carl Lawson, the edge rusher from Cincinnati, they bring in desperate help for their pass rush that was needed. Also, a wide receiver and a weapon that the Jets had not had for a while. Corey Davis comes in as a free agent signee from the Tennessee Titans in an interesting opening press conference for Corey
Indeed.
Davis, who was answering a question about why he was interested in signing with the Jets, to which he answered it was his understanding that Sam Darnold would be the quarterback under center for the Jets. Now, I don't buy that at all. And for a second, I'm sure he was coached to say that. But I do not imagine for any of what it's worth that Sam Darnold will take another snap in a Jets uniform. I am surprised by that response, but I suppose that it is what it is because what else do you expect him to say? And it's the NFL, so you have to hold a press conference.
Nick, I have to agree with you. I think that even the mention of was it necessary? Did they do we know
I
if they
don't.
specifically asked him what quarterback? Because I think it's one of the worst kept secrets, as you're saying, that not particularly which quarterback will be taking his place. I believe it'll be BYU's Wilson. But to see Darnold still in green is just not looking likely. As you said, a coached response would be the natural guess, because if at the fan level it's understood that Darnold is probably not going to be there anymore, it's where there's smoke, there's some fire going. Interesting that he even decided to say that. I think that is some real life trolling. I don't know what else the motive was there besides maybe to somehow create more of a market, but why would everyone just laughed it off. So,
Something that I got into with Chris Baccia last time out on NFL Friday, of course, available wherever you get your podcast, WFUVsports.org. But there was an article that was published from, I'm blanking on the name of the reporter, but if you go out there and search on Twitter for Sam Darnold and things of that nature, you'll find it. And it was a coach in the AFC who was saying that Sam Darnold stinks and that the evaluation and sentiments that are among fans and those in the media are significantly of higher opinion of Sam Darnold's ability than what actually exists in the NFL, which I found very interesting because you really hear it from particularly people in the media who will say Sam Darnold is outstanding and it's just been the hand that he was dealt. And if he only had a competent organization, look at all the tools and how great he is and this, that, and every excuse under the sun. I'm sorry, because at some point, and I said this on Friday, win more than 2 games. I know that the situation was horrendous for him. Adam Gase was not a good coach at all. That's putting it mildly. And they didn't draft well. There was nothing really around him. At the same time, was this situation worse than Houston? Houston won 4. Deshaun Watson was able to get him to 4, and he had nothing. So I just don't think that he is ever going to prove himself an elite of the elite quarterback the way he gets talked about, because those guys just win more than 2 games. I just don't see it. So that's the thing that's really interesting to me. I'm not saying that he couldn't be successful with an ultra competitive roster around him. I've said it time and time again. I think Alex Smith is a great comparison for him, and his tools are probably a little bit better than Alex Smith's. But to pretend like this is a guy who still is of the potential of somebody who can build your franchise around without a great roster, I just don't buy it. But I don't understand this whole Sam Darnold talk, because he really, as much as adversity as has been thrown upon him, he really hasn't done a very good job in overcoming it. And that's not to be mean necessarily, or to be, this guy can't play at all. But I just don't see it to where this is somebody who, wow, he's going to turn around and go to a good organization and all of a sudden be lighting it up like he's Patrick Mahomes. That seems to be thrown around a lot. There's no way. That's why the Jets should move on.
I liked a place like Indianapolis with a solid offensive line.
Yeah.
As a destination for him, even somewhere like Pittsburgh for the future, just somewhere that can support him and get him what he needs, which is going to be protection, which is going to be a weapon. Like just as the Jets got in Davis, the Giants got in Galladay, someone. Again, I agree with you. Darnold's been dealt a terrible hand. I just know the importance of leadership from the quarterback position, and I feel like any team that can go just have the type of seasons that the Jets have had, I feel like there's something missing, and it might not just be the team situation. To quickly make an analogy to the same city but different sport, I think it's fair to say, on the basketball side, for example, Obi Toppin has been dealt a strange hand in how he's being used and his role, but it's also fair to expect more from him in what he's done so far. I think you can say the exact same for Sam Darnold.
There was a study a while ago that said, depending on how you really feel about whether a quarterback's a hit or miss, in the first round, it's about 40% of a guy you're drafting is going to work out or not. I'll just throw it out there. You can determine whether you like Baker Mayfield, but Lamar Jackson has won the MVP of the 5 guys who were taken in the first round, and Josh Allen was right there. That's 40%. Baker Mayfield may be at 10%. He might be half, so we might get it to 50. But that would tell you that sometimes those guys just don't tend to work out. Very rarely are you going to get these 4 stud quarterbacks in the first round, and it's sometimes just a numbers game. But I'm down on Sam Darnold. We'll see if he can prove me wrong. But I think that Indianapolis would have been a great spot for him. Unfortunately, that doesn't get done, and we'll see what the future holds. But the quarterback situations and availability are running out in short order. So teams are scrambling to make moves. We'll see what the Jets do in the draft and coming up here as free agency progresses.